Oh my gosh, I so want to get to an escape room right now. That is just insane. TGIF, thank goodness it's Friday, the last Friday of the month, where we hang out live and have some fun. This time we're diving into escape rooms from the perspective of the geocaching community. If you're watching live, we'll be giving away a couple of prizes, and the instructions to enter are in that little ticker below. I may have not updated it, so watch for that hashtag. I'll have to fix that. So tonight we have a special guest. He is Chris Lattner of the Room Laboratories in Berlin. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Geoff. Nice to
How
be
are
here.
you?
I'm very fine here. Hope you're fine hope you're fine yourself in Canada.
Yes. So, how are you handling the lockdown right now?
Actually, there is no lockdown anymore.
You're
We
good.
opened our escape room about 2 weeks ago. Bookings are very slow, obviously, because there are lots of testing and stuff like this. Yeah, but there is no lockdown anymore. The numbers are very, very low at the moment in Germany, so it might be a nice summer, but beware of the autumn. COVID is coming back. I'm pretty sure, like Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, yeah. So you are. Well, explain your role in the room, what you do, and what it is that you enjoy about it.
Yeah, so in 2014 or yeah, 14 we opened the room Life Escape Game Berlin. Um, as I played it an escape room a couple of years earlier, and I thought, oh, but well, that's a very nice idea. It's almost like geocaching, but in a controlled environment, and but it could be done much better, design-wise and set-wise and story-wise. There was no storytelling in that escape room. And as we did that in geocaching already, we had storylines, narrative. I wanted to add this thing in our escape rooms as well. So we decided, my geocaching crew and me, we decided, okay, let's open an escape room. We started designing them, and then in 2014 we were ready to open two escape rooms, Go West and Beast of Berlin, and the rest is history. We just did this because at that time, geocaching was already very, very famous in Germany, and every moron was able to do some geocaches. Actually, this is the page. You're showing a website of my second company. The Room Laboratories is my company where we build experiences with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Room Life Escape Game Berlin is the website of our escape room. So I have to pick up where did I end. Yeah, my crew and me decided, as geocaching was very famous and every moron did geocaches, and we put some very delicate geocaches out there with lots of tech inside, and every once in a while those morons destroyed the stuff, so we decided, okay, we should do something in a controlled environment where we can see the players through cameras, stop them if they start breaking something, and so on. So that was the reason why we said, okay, an escape room is the good is this thing we should move towards, because it's the logic thing of doing after geocaching.
Right. And so that intro that I showed there, that had some clips from uh, some geocaching that you've done and some from the trailers. So I'll have links to the trailers of your rooms in the description. But
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to contrast the similarities and differences between that style of exploratory lost place, you call it geocaching, and that kind of, get immersed in this room and try to solve the puzzles in order to solve and escape.
Yeah.
And
So, yeah. So in the trailer, you saw the first minute, you saw a quite famous geocache back in the days. It was called Stadt im Wald, which means a city in the woods,
Hmm.
um, which became a blueprint of lost place geocaching around that time. Around Berlin, we have many abandoned Russian barracks, and those barracks are mostly in the middle of nowhere in the woods. And it's not just one or two houses, it's an entire city with a swimming pool, with a cinema, with um, supermarkets, houses where the soldiers lived, or all the technical buildings, and so on, and already bunkers as well. So you could go underground as well. Um, yeah, just show some pictures of Schattenwald. It is yeah, it's no more those geocache, and there were a lot of those geocaches around Berlin that time. Um, this one was a fairly simple one where you just go to a stage, you find a kind of no, there you just found the coordinates hidden somewhere for the next stage.
Hmm.
Um, and then those Lost Place crews started adding some narrative to it. So you go to a stage, you find a piece of paper and you read a kind of storyline which leads you to the next room. So there were no coordinates anymore. It was like, okay, the janitor went to the boiler room, so you had to find the boiler room somewhere, which was more interesting to get into a kind of story. And there was a very famous crew called Wampenschleifer, which means belly grinders. And they had the best Lost Place geocaches out there at that time. Not because of the geocache itself or the stages themselves. They were good. They were nice, interesting kind of puzzles or tasks. But the finale was always impressive. Maybe you can show the YouTube video where we opened the secret wall.
Okay, so that was the lost
Uh,
place, right?
m- I think it's called Mäusejagd or something like this, which means mouse hunt.
Oh, oh,
They all took place in abandoned buildings. Like, you have it? Can I talk over it, or do people?
yes. Yeah, you can.
No, 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 no. It's not that one.
Not that one.
It's the one called Mäusejagd. I sent you the link yesterday.
The finale for Dead Man Tell
Yes.
No Tales.
No, no, no,
Yes.
no, no,
No,
no. That
there's so many links. I didn't put the name of the actual video
never
on.
mind.
Um, the ch-
Never mind. They always
okay.
had a finale, which was a kind of hidden room inside one of the buildings, but they made it hidden. I mean, they built secret walls, they built secret doors, trap doors, um, and that was very interesting because you didn't know where the finale was and you had to find it. Yes, exactly, Mosaic finale. So you see a friend of mine and you see a shelf there, and you had to turn one of the boards of the shelves and then push the entire wall, which was an actual wall. It was
Yeah.
fairly heavy. It's running on rails behind that, and they all built that. It wasn't there. It's man-made. So
So they
so
added to
that
the
that was
abandoned structure. Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And it looks like it was there already.
And that's
And
fantastic.
this was the finale. So the finale wasn't just an ordinary Tupperware box. It was an entire room. You had a tray of beer there always. You could leave some money there. You see the beer in a couple of seconds, I think. So you see they collected pieces from the entire Lost Place and placed it in that finale room, and they dressed it like a set, actually.
Yeah.
And and it was always you see the the logbook is not just a book, it's the entire room.
It's
You can put your
oh
name somewhere. And that was so beautiful to see that. And you see, there's the beer. Um, and Yeah, and that was a beauty of those Wampenschleifer caches, as you never
mhm,
know where the finale will be, how it looks. You see, they just uh, found all those items on the lost place and placed it there like a kind of reminder of old times. And yeah, that was basically the final box. There has to be a final box, of course.
yeah.
But the logbook wasn't an ordinary book you could sign somewhere on those tiles in that special room or on one of the cups or wherever you want. And
Yeah.
yeah,
So
the
one of the
Lampenschleifer caches, they were amazing.
one of the things that always wondered me that I always wondered about this was how you deal with say non-geocachers and other people who are just exploring a lost place, and if there's graffiti or somebody comes across this and takes things, like how protected are some of these geocaches because you're in an abandoned area, and certainly geocachers aren't the only people to visit the location.
Um, True. Uh, but as you have seen, especially those Wampenschleifer caches were very well hidden. I mean, no one would try to turn a board and push an entire wall. Um, so I think there were sometimes there were trouble with urban explorers who found the secret rooms by accident, but that
Hmm.
happened rarely, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, what we did was more often destroyed by pedestrians. We built our geocaches in the woods, and there were people strolling the woods and found some of the items or boxes and destroyed them. Or during the autumn season, they went through the forest with a harvester to take out old trees, and suddenly they destroyed half of the geocache, and we had to rebuild everything. Yeah, so at I mean, I think this happened to us more often than at those lost places, because if people go to lost places to see those nice graffitis and paintings and pieces of art, they don't even. I, d- I mean, I think they don't have an eye for little details like, oh, is there a coordinate or is there a Tupperware box somewhere hidden?
Right.
They look at the pictures and paintings and not
Yeah.
at little details. So I think they were pretty safe.
Yeah, I've kind of wondered about that with just regular multi-caches as well. If you have a stage that puts coordinates that people can
Mm,
use, if
mm.
somebody who's not a geocacher finds that, then they can just jump right into the multi. If they know that they're coordinates, they might go to those coordinates and see what's there.
Yes, today it's possible.
Yeah.
But 10 years ago, smartphones did not have Google Maps on it, or quite hardly. So we had those old Garmin GPS devices. And I think ordinary people did not have a Garmin GPS device. They might have an iPhone 1, which wasn't able to put in coordinates. So when we did geocaching, there wasn't that much of a trouble. If they find coordinates. So I think these days it's more of an issue.
Yeah, and ANK makes a good point as well that probably wouldn't fly in most places in Ontario due to trespassing and safety concerns. I was mentioning that
Mm,
before. Like the one of the things that I've noticed over the years is there's like a whole new type of level of geocaching in Germany and in that vicinity because people just go to the extreme, whether it's loads of climbing caches or taking
yeah,
these kind of high tech experiences out into nature or
yeah,
using lost places and things like that. And we always have to get permission. Like there's the assumption that if you place a cache,
yeah,
you've got adequate permission. And so
yeah.
how has that kind of changed over the years for you?
It changed a lot. I mean, most of the lost place geocaches, even 10 years ago, were illegal because it is somehow private property. Sometimes no one knows who is the owner. There were fences around that. You had to crawl through holes in the fence. But 10 years ago, it wasn't that much of a problem. Uh, it changed 5 to 6 years later. It changed because those abandoned barracks, they were investors buying them and trying to do something with it, like a recreation area or putting a hotel on it or whatever. And suddenly, some of those geocaches disappeared because it was too dangerous to go there, even if there was nothing built already. But they put security there, and security was checking the place constantly, so you never knew if you are running into a security person. And so these geocaches almost disappeared. And at some point, as far as I know, lost place geocaches are not even allowed anymore, um, except you have the permission of the owner of that place to put a geocache in there. It's the same with woods these days. Putting geocache into the woods isn't allowed anymore as well in some regions
Really?
in Germany. Yes, because in the woods there are animals living, and if you have hundreds of geocaches every day strolling the woods, it disturbs the animals, and it yeah, destroys the little plants on the ground and where the animals live, and this is the reason why it's not allowed anymore. And most woods in Germany are hunting grounds as well, and the hunters don't want people in there to disturb the deers and the boars. So, so that's the reason why you can't really place geocaches in the woods anymore, except you went to the, I don't know what's called in English, forest administration for that area and asked them for
Yeah.
permission to do that, which is
Sounds a lot
possible.
like, yeah, like our provincial or state parks, national parks. Very similar
Something like
because
this.
they're
Yeah.
government owned. They want to protect the nature and all that.
Yes.
We around here we do have quite a lot of wood lots with trails, tracts between sections of
Hmm.
city or town or roads, and they tend to get taken up very quickly with geocaches once people
Yeah.
discover this publicly accessible trail.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, one of your counties is as large as Germany in total. So, yeah. So, in Germany, I think most woods are private owned. So you
Hmm.
need permission of the owner of that piece of wood. So so it became quite difficult, and yeah, and that was another reason why we stopped that. We said it's too much a hassle to do that, and it's too difficult to put great geocaches out there. It was different in the beginning.
Yeah. Lindsay just said, "We've accidentally trespassed. We've also had a gun threatened on us after some farmers came. That time we weren't trespassing as it was on a country road ditch." Have you had to deal with things like, because there was trespassing or, doing secret stuff, and have there been any conflicts?
N- Not conflicts like this, because in Germany no one carries a gun. But if you are running into a security guy, they might call the police, and you might get fined. But that happened rarely. They just said, "Okay, leave the place now. It's private property. You shouldn't come back." And that's it, basically. No, there were no issues of those kind. But there were other dangers with lost place geocaching, as those buildings are quite dangerous. And I just remember we had to climb a chimney 40 or 45 meters outside of the chimney up there, climb into the chimney and climb down inside the chimney. And 1 week later, of course, we did as with safety harness and ropes and so on. But 1 week later, yeah, that's not a chimney, that's a tower.
No.
And there was a hint on a half, yes, half of the tower. So we had to climb down there. But 1 week later, some geocacher fell off this chimney and almost died. So those things happened not often, but they happened. And
Yeah,
this led to the government taking care of it and say, okay, lost places are not good for geocaching, so we should forbid that.
for geocaching
Same with
specifically.
yeah, true. Because those topics popped up in the news, and then it had to be taken care of, obviously, because it was in the news, and yeah,
Yeah,
so
because one of the things that we try to do with geocaching is at least try to give it a good name. So whether it's with
mm,
the government or private entities or whatever, we want to make sure that geocaching. There may be very difficult, dangerous things, but you shouldn't do them unless you know how to do it properly and safely.
mm.
Don't do anything you're not certain that you can do.
I
And
mean,
yeah.
humans are stupid. Yes, they are. You can tell them you shouldn't do that, they still do it, even if they haven't done it before, and then they die, and then they're surprised that they're dead. Like, oh my God, I'm dead. Shit.
Yeah.
And what we try to do is we went to the extreme as well. As you said, some of the geocaches are going to the extreme because we want to raise the bar for those morons not to do our geocaches. So we mostly put out T5 geocaches in the end, especially the first stages were pretty heavy. So that we just divide the geocachers who are really into it from the morons who are just there for finding Tupperware boxes under a
Yeah.
tree.
It's
So
almost like
yeah,
if you have a very difficult tree climb, say gear or no gear, it's very difficult. You might attract a lot of people to try to do it without necessarily having the right kind of skill. But if you have like a higher barrier to entry to start the
yeah,
geocache, then
yeah.
that might only bring in people who have that kind of skill, who have that ability to complete them.
True, but it has to be a physical barrier because a riddle is not a barrier at all because
Right.
once one has solved the riddle or the puzzle, he gives it away to others, and then it's not a barrier anymore.
Yeah.
So it has to be a physical barrier, and mostly of course climbing. We never did tree climbing without harness, so the trees we chose were only possible with gear. To be sure. Oh yeah, that's a picture where I'm somewhere on tree. So I think
Tiny
the
little dot.
highest, yeah, I mean the highest geocache we placed wasn't even that one. Was in on a tree 45 meters high, which is pretty high. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a very special one. We wanted to do something very interesting and special. So, as we are all trained in tree climbing, um, we put 36 patlings into that tree, and all of them on the outer limbs. And there was only one logbook inside. So I'm sure many of you know those geocaches you have 50 paddlings in a bucket and only in one is the logbook, and you go through the boring process to check every of those little containers. But here you have to do something. You have to work for it. You have to climb the tree, and only those ones who have the skills to go into the outer limbs without falling down and breaking their neck are able to find the logbook. And there was another task that if you sign the logbook, you have to put it into another paddling. So no one knows where the logbook actually is except the
Yeah.
one who found it before you. So
That
that
that's
was a
evil
pretty
and awesome.
interesting. Yeah, it was fun watching. Some were pretty lucky. They climbed up, and the first paddling they had was the logbook, and some. Oh, wait, I have to put it. And for some, it took up to 7 hours to find the right one. So it
Well,
was fun.
considering the terrain and the location where all of them are, I think it would take almost an hour to get from one to the other.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, Lindsay. No, go ahead.
yeah. Just we used a long branch.
To maneuver the cache down and back up. It was about
Yeah,
10
but
feet.
this tree where I'm sitting is at least a height of 15 meters.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
And
minimum 15, maybe 20 meters, and that was the lowest one.
yeah,
So,
and
so
the kind of
you,
cache that's the lowest one. Wow, the kind of
yeah, yeah,
cache that
yeah, that,
Lindsay mentions is what we tend to call pull me downs, and
yeah,
they're love them or hate them because the more people pull down trees or pull down branches, the more that the tree can get hurt and all that. So
exactly,
they're kind of around, but not super popular. This one is
exactly.
not a pull me down.
Yeah, no, 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 they're definitely not. That and yeah, in that then that specific one, all the paddlings were red, so you could see them instantly
Mm.
as soon as you approached the tree.
Okay,
You
that's
saw
good.
them all in once. I think it's, I think we called it Vertigo, but I'm not sure if that one is Vertigo or Christmas Tree or something like that. But sometimes we were even more evil. We placed a green petling in a tree, and you have to find that one in a huge tree behind a leaf. That was evil.
Yeah.
Um,
And ANK said
yeah,
that's why
and
DT ratings are somewhat regional in nature. When it comes to five terrain, that can mean a whole lot of stuff. A five terrain here could be, or a five terrain in Germany where you are could be something like an 8 or 10 terrain here, a lot of the time. But
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, we took it really to the extreme. We did some scuba diving
mm,
stuff, and yeah, and lots of climbing because we were climbers. Oh yeah, that was fun as well. The geocache wasn't underwater; it was just on a small island.
and you had to
It
get
would
there.
have been better to come back in summer; it would have been easier. But we decided no, we do it in winter. It's more fun. So I had to break the ice to get to this small island and to
Yeah,
retrieve the geocache. That was that was a fun day. We lots of fun at
it's a good way to do
in
it.
the
We
winter.
would around here we tend to wait for the ice to get thicker to walk across, but a lot of the times in spring or early winter, something that or late winter, that ice might not be thick
Yeah.
enough. So that's a good way to get through. Just break the ice and get across.
But I didn't know how deep the water is.
Yeah.
That was the interesting part in that. No, we had a geocache in there was the finale was in a it wasn't even a river. It was an arm of a lake. It looked like a river. And we had a scuba diving vest um, tucked around um, what it's called, where you have oil, a plastic barrel, and inside that barrel was the logbook.
Mhm.
And from the outside, you had a kind of air tank. You had to open the valve, and then this this barrel floated in the middle of the river. We had even some lights in there, so it started glowing on the bottom, and then it came up, and you had to swim there. But we had to repair it, and it was in January or February. I mean, the water temperature was maybe 3 degrees, and I had no wetsuit with me, so I just went in there and uh, because we had to take it out of the water, so I had to dive in 3 degree cold water, which was interesting as well. Pretty cold,
Hmm.
but I survived. That's deal.
So I've been touting this as speaking with you, the Gordon Ramsay of escape rooms.
Yeah, that's what
Where did
they
that name
call
come
them.
from? How is it? Why?
Yes, yes. I mean, our escape room, the room in Berlin was ranked number one escape room of the world in
Mm,
2019. We lost the place. Now we are second in the world, and we build stuff in a very high quality. So
mm,
our escape rooms are very high quality, and I sometimes I don't understand why people who worked 7 years behind the meat counter think they can do entertainment instantly and open an escape room. Um,
mm,
it's the same with geocaching somehow. I mean, taking a Tupperware container and placing it under a phone booth or a bench, that's not geocaching, that's stupidity. That's rubbish. That's
there's
that's
the
definitely
Gordon Ramsay coming
polluting the
out.
environment with plastic. That
Yeah.
has nothing to do with geocaching. And I get angry about those things and I confront people who are doing this or opening bad escape rooms and go there and tell them, listen, what are you doing there?
Hmm,
Um,
hmm.
why are you putting out rubbish? uh, and ask for money because for geocaches you don't have to pay, so it's for free.
Yeah.
Somehow you have to pay the app, blah blah blah, but in the end it's somewhat for free. But for an escape room you have to pay money, and
Hmm,
that's not it's not cheap. It's up to 35 euros per person,
hmm.
and I don't understand why people do that. They just build crap and rip people off. So I
Hmm,
get angry and tell them what they're doing wrong. But on the
hmm,
other hand, I help them to become better. I tell them what they should change because
hmm.
I know it what they should change, and it doesn't have to be necessary to put much money into it. Just be creative.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's interesting because the parallel with geocaching, it's like as vloggers or as people who have YouTube channels that highlight great experiences or geocaching constructions, things like that. We do it to try to inspire people to be better. And
yeah.
geocaching has come a long way over the years as well. And whether it's ideas and concepts for creating gadgets, or how intense people want to get with their adventures.
Mm, yeah.
We try to push the line a bit, but try to give people ideas. And that's one of the reasons why I like to do these little events, like speaking with you about escape rooms and last month with alternate reality games, because there are some super creative and talented people out there. And looking at your escape rooms and the kind of effort that you put into the puzzles and the immersion and the quality, maybe hopefully will inspire people to come up with ideas and think outside the box a little more.
I hope so too. I hope so too. I mean, if you see Gordon Ramsay ranting on people, it's not to be offensive against those people. He wants to take them out of their comfort zone and tell, listen, do something, change something, please. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not difficult to do that. Just use your brain and do something interesting. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
geocaching for me was like a scavenger hunt as a kid. We went out with some friends and had fun in the woods. We were going on an adventure. Like
Mm-hmm.
we were watching films like Stand By Me, Indiana Jones, The Goonies, and we want to be like them, finding a treasure. So
Yes.
geocaching was exactly like that. You're following a path, you have hints, you have clues, and in the end you find something. Okay, it's a Tupperware box. That was the first disappointment. So I said, okay, why are you finding a Tupperware box? Why there isn't a treasure chest? So we
Mm-hmm.
built a treasure chest with
Mm-hmm.
coins in it, and it looked like a treasure. Maybe you have a picture of that. No, that's not a geocache we built.
No.
That's a picture of Brandon Darkmoor, the final room. Um,
There's a good one.
yeah, this is a piece of our geocache Dead Man Tell No Tales. It was a night cache, took 6 to 7 hours. We had a booking system. You had to book your time slot, and there were only 2 time slots per night. Only 5 geocaches per team allowed, and we greeted each team. We even had a hint system. Uh, One of our team members had duty to stay awake at night, or at least have his phone next to his bed. And as soon as they call him, he should give them a hint for a certain type of puzzle. Not a clear solution, but a hint how they might find the right solutions themselves. And you see this treasure map. This treasure map was a guideline for the whole game. All games were related to that treasure map. You had to use it on almost each stage in a certain way. There's so many different things on that treasure map, and you had to use it with those kind of items you find. And that was an idea I stole from another geocache. A friend of mine placed it in an abandoned theme park, and he had the map of the theme park and used it in a quite similar way. So I took some of his ideas, asked him, of course, beforehand if I'm allowed to use that, because he was in a completely different area of Germany. So it wasn't a problem at all. Yeah, and
So just
that Mental Tales, yep, just
yeah, go ahead.
that Mental Tales became quite popular, especially as one of us were always there to greet the people and check if they were like we intended geocache to be. If there were more than 5 people, we send them home. If they were drunk, we send them home. If they had too many flashlights, we send them home. If they were too loud, we send them home. We did not let them play. So it was almost like we are doing now. It was exactly the same mechanics. There's a booking system, there's a host, there's someone doing. Oh my God, I haven't seen this for a while.
The
Yeah,
geocache listing for Dead Men Tell No Tales, the 5-5 in Germany. It's very
yeah,
old.
it was a five
Unfortunately,
five.
you won't
Yeah,
be able to edit to fix the broken images, but
yeah, true. I should have sent them to you somewhere on my computer. They are still there. Yeah, there. So that was the first puzzle, the piece of map, and suddenly even the guys from the geocaching headquarter in Seattle came over to Germany to play Dead Man Tell No Tales. That was an honor, and they gave me a headquarter travel bug. I sent you a photo as well. Maybe you have it there.
the travel
Um,
bug, yeah.
yeah, that is a. I don't know how many of those travel bugs are around, but this is from the official geocaching headquarter in Seattle. They gave it to us. I never used it. I still have it somewhere in my home. Yeah. So yeah, that Mantel No Taste became quite popular, and people even showed up dressed as pirates, and it was way long before the film came out, That Man Tell No Tales. As I'm a huge Disneyland fan, the geocache, of course, is related to Pirates of the Caribbean. This is
Yeah,
where That Man Tell No Tales is from, and yeah, you see, yeah. There are even
there's a good
photos
one.
there. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's a
lovely to
whole
see that.
experience. Like you
Yeah,
you
exactly.
created a geocache that I don't know how many stages there are, but from beginning to end, you're basically telling a whole story and solving puzzles
Yeah.
just to get to that final geocache.
Yes, and there was a very interesting plot twist at stage 2 or 3. I think 2 or 3. No, at stage 3, you find already the final box, uh, which was a treasure chest locked with 6 number locks. And from that moment on, you knew, oh shit, I need 6 codes. So from that on, your journey started. And I think that was fairly new. I haven't seen that before and after that you find the final box right in the beginning of the geocache. And Yeah, you can maybe skip through that video here. Yeah, that's the box. There was a sound module inside. As soon as you open the lid, you hear a heartbeat inside the box because it was about Davy Jones' heart. Um, so we took
And
the whole
so many
storyline
hearts.
of Pirates of the Caribbean years before they made the movie.
Hmm.
That's very interesting. I just realized that now. Yeah,
And
those are shitty.
this was the container that was at the final container for the cache.
Yes, exactly. They could
Mm,
open the lid on the top, and there the story starts, right?
mm,
There was the storyline and the hint for stage number 4, and in the end, they could open the box. They
mm,
hear the sound of the beating heart even louder, and there was a hidden compartment where they find the logbook, which isn't an ordinary logbook. It's a pirate pocketbook. And if they open it, it looks like an ordinary book with nothing inside, just the pages. But it was a UV light logbook, so you
ooh,
needed a UV light pen to log. See, there's nothing in there. Um, I think we put a UV light pen in the box as well that they were able to
mm,
sign that. Yeah,
mm,
as far as I remember.
yeah,
Yeah, and after each team, or not after each team, when teams played, we went there the next day to check every stage if it's still in the right order, if they put it back
yeah.
correctly, so that every team has the same experience than the team before.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
was time consuming a lot because it took us almost 2 hours to check the cache.
Yeah,
And that, yeah, and that's something we did almost every day.
yeah. And
It
the
was
amount of
insane.
work,
Yeah.
the amount of work to put together that whole experience too. I mean, how long would it take? How long did it take you to create that whole experience? Because it's not just creating the physical
6 months.
box. Six
Yeah, no,
months just
no.
to create.
Yeah. It was 6 months to create the storyline, the puzzles, and to find the right places in the woods. One of the stages, I think stage 2, was the coffin where you had to crawl in, and we had to dig that one out because there was no coffin obviously buried. So we had to dig it out. I sent you a photo
Yep.
of digging. Yeah, that was the coffin where you had to crawl in. It was almost 2 meters deep. In a Yeah, you had to open the coffin, and inside the coffin you find a skull, which was singing if you took it out, and uh, the skull was just singing about the people on the dead man's chest. I don't remember the song in English.
Yeah.
16 blah blah on the dead man's chest. Yeah, that's the skull. You take it out and it starts singing. But actually, the singing and what the skull says has nothing to do with the next stage. It's uh, it's not even a red herring because later on during the geocache, you need some information of the song he was singing.
Mm,
Um, but you get to the next stage with the lock of the coffin, which most people put away as they thought it's just two metal rods who kept the lid from falling off. So they took those metal rods out and put them away.
mm,
But those metal rods had holes in it with a drill, some were deeper as others. So it was a Morse code. The flat ones were, of course, dot, and the deep ones were, of course, long, so short and long. And with that Morse code, they were able to go to stage 3, which was the final box, uh, actually the beginning of the geocache itself. So it was already like we are doing now. There was a kind of pre-show. The first two stages were a kind of pre-show to introduce the characters and the storyline. And with stage three finding the final box, that was the start of the geocache. And when people realize that, it's always a surprise, like, oh my God, now it starts. So we spent already 45 minutes or an hour, but now it starts and we have to find 6 codes in the woods.
Yeah.
So there was some tree climbing involved as well, and very interesting stuff we did.
Yeah. It sounds kind of like the intro that I've done one escape room like this where you go in and you think you're just in the intro section, but it's actually
Yeah,
part of the escape room experience. Like
yeah,
that the character that's introducing you to what you're about to do is part of the experience. The room that you're in is the room
yeah,
of the escape. They
yeah,
lock you in
yeah,
the same like the ways to break the fourth wall or think outside the box, do things a little differently than you expect, just to bump
yeah,
it up a notch. Yeah.
yeah. And it's not that difficult. You just have to watch those old 80s and 90s adventure movies to find the right tropes, ideas, how to set up a proper storyline, and what makes those kind of stories and treasure hunting experience interesting, and use those elements. Um,
Yeah.
and not, I mean, a Tupperware box is not the right thing for a treasure hunt. It's just awful. I
Yeah.
mean,
And
okay, it's waterproof, but just use your brain and build something fucking waterproof.
yeah.
Um,
And that's one of the reasons why I tend to refer to geocaching as a scavenger hunt more than a treasure hunt, because then
yeah,
you tend to focus more on the whole experience rather than I just want to get to the treasure at the end.
yeah,
The value is in the journey and the whole
yes,
experience.
yes. This is sh um, yeah, this is how it should be in an ideal world. But we
Yeah.
all know the world is not ideal, so there's a lot of crap out there.
So just to insert now, because we haven't actually explained what the prize is for the giveaway yet,
Oh yeah,
we have a couple of things. And one, Chris, you are wearing it.
yeah.
One of
But
the
let me
prizes we're
just
giving
stand up.
away is the Never Say Die T-shirt. Dead Men Tell No Tales. Original
Yeah,
design, right?
we designed that one, and as we are huge fan of the Goonies, so we designed something Goonies related. Yeah, you see One-Eyed Willie on the bone organ. Yeah, so this is something I would give away.
Yeah,
My own
it's a
T-shirt. So it's very sweaty and smelly. So no, you get a new one. Don't worry.
there's the design, so you can get a close up there.
Yeah.
Looks pretty sweet. Um, and yep, that is a sweet shirt, says Pizza Ninja. And as on top of that, I'm also going to throw in a special escape room in a box from the Exit series. To be on topic, there is an Exit escape room game called Dead Men on the Orient Express. And this comes with Chris's recommendation.
Yes.
So that will also be related to next month. I have plans for next month, so stay tuned for that as well. But so that is what the giveaway at the bottom there is for, that little ticker. Put in that hashtag times up, and at the end of this little hangout, we'll do a draw, and somebody's going to win that T-shirt and the Exit escape room board game. So now escape
What's
rooms
next?
have kind of come a long way. And now they are making appearances at mega events, at
Are they?
geocaching mega events. Now you
Really?
said you haven't been geocaching specifically for a while
You,
now, but have you heard of them? Have you had any hand in helping any escape rooms at mega events, or is that still kind of a North American thing? Hasn't happened at
I I
Germany?
think it is more a North American thing. There are very few mega events in Germany, at least at that time when I was actively geocaching. We helped in the last years, especially in the beginning of the room. We were still connected to the geocaching world, and as soon as we open a new game, sorry, um, the first players are mostly geocachers who know us from the past, and they are fans of our games, and they set up a mega event, and we helped them. Uh, Just give me a second. I need something to drink.
No problem. Yeah, so just to continue on that, if you haven't been to a mega event recently because of the pandemic, you might find, especially going caching, they have had little escape rooms, like a half-hour escape room, built in as one of the experiences you can enjoy at the mega event.
Yeah. So what we did is that we helped them with a kind of adventurous thing. Uh, some of our escape rooms were tied in a geocache of a multi-cache. So basically, the geocache, the escape room was the beginning of a geocache, which was quite interesting. We altered it down that it's not 60 minutes, it was just 20 minutes, so we could put more teams through. So that was an experience we did. We did not build an entire game just for the mega event because the games we are building, a game like Brandon Darkmoor took us 3 years in the making from first idea until opening. And it had a budget of 250,000 euros. So it's not just something you build on a weekend. Yeah, that is Brandon Darkmoor. So it's about an old asylum, and there's a ghost in there, or it seems to be a ghost in there, and you have to catch the ghost. And there's a life-size hand puppet which disappears in front of your eyes, and lots of special effects stuff in there. But our most famous game is The Lost Treasure, which is Indiana Jones and Goonies related. That is, yeah, that's the
Now
main room.
that's the actual room that the escape room is in, because that's the
Of
background.
course,
It almost looks like an art painting. The
yeah.
picture
I mean,
itself.
the top, it is all painted. The top is painted, the ceiling, and it's all made out of wood. We build everything ourselves. We do everything in-house. All software is done by ourselves because there was no escape room software there, there when we started. There are lots of special effects in there from sound, fog, scent, whatever stuff. Yeah, Pepper's ghost effects and mirror effects and all that things you find in theme parks as well. Um, yeah, we put much attention to detail and sound. Sound is crucial, sound and light.
Yeah. Like this
With
the
huge,
design, the content of your rooms, it blows my mind. Because
yeah,
like you
yeah,
said, thinking about some of these other escape rooms that have been around that people just kind of, when at least when it first started, I did a few escape rooms that are, they found an empty room in a building for rent and just dropped a bunch of
mm,
puzzles in there. You've got to solve the puzzles
mm,
to get out. It was very cheap, but
mm,
it attracted people because it's brand new. It's an
yeah,
experience that, you've got the adrenaline rush, you've got to solve stuff and get out by it
mm,
within a 1 hour or whatever the time limit is. But I mean,
mm.
you're taking it to a whole new level. You're creating a production. I mean, you've got a
Yes,
huge
yes, we
budget,
do.
but it's the
Yeah,
production value of the escape rooms
yeah,
that you've got in your company are just like through the roof.
yeah. That's what, yeah, that's true. That's what we do. But there are many companies in Europe out there who work on the same level or even higher, especially in Holland. There are some escape room companies, they blow even our minds. We go in there and we have so much fun seeing new things we haven't seen before. And um, luckily, the escape room industry is kind of like the geocaching community. It is a community. We don't see ourselves as rivals or something like this. I mean, I know the owners of the best escape rooms in the world, and we became friends, and we help each other, and so there's no such thing that you envy something others.
All right.
We are we are happy to play something which blows our minds, because all escape rooms we build are designed like escape rooms we would like to play,
Yeah.
and we never played them. So, and it was the same with geocaching. We build geocaches like we would like to experience geocaches. Unfortunately, we never did that. So we never experienced our own caches, and we never found caches with the same quality that we had. Um, Maybe some stages were great, and there were some technical things I saw in geocaching which blew my mind. Machines in the middle of the street and stuff like that. There's very interesting stuff outside, or it was at least. I don't know how it is now. Um, but back in the days, there were some very, very creative people out there. Recently, I was geocaching, and I did geocache with had lots of favorite points, and I was so disappointed because it was nothing. There was no storyline. But the puzzles were not interesting, and I don't understand why that one get so many or gained so many favorite points. Maybe because the rest is even worse out there these days. So
Yeah.
this could be a reason.
It stood
Um,
out. Even though it wasn't quality itself, it stood out from the others.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was some neat ideas, but the execution was so bad. And this is what the thing I don't get. If I have a good idea, I try to bring it to the max to get the best out of my idea, and not just to do something to get it done.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't work. It's fiddly. It's yeah, it's not precise enough,
Yeah.
and
It's
yeah.
like
So
striving for excellence. You can do things sufficiently, but if you have the
yeah,
ability, then go that extra mile and excel at it and do something like more than yeah.
yes. Or if I don't have the ability, ask someone who has, which is not a shame. You can't be able to do everything. Just
Yeah.
ask someone who is.
And like you said, like that's one of the benefits of the community because it's not
Yes.
inherently competitive. If we are a
Yeah.
community, then we can learn and grow from each other. We can be inspired by
Yeah.
each other. We can borrow ideas and credit people if necessary. But we can push each other to a greater level. It's similar. It keeps coming back to in martial arts. The same sort of thing happened. Like I do kung fu, and Bruce Lee kind of changed the face of martial arts because there were so many martial arts and they were competing with each other for who was
Hmm.
better and the pride in their own lineage or their style and whatever. And Bruce Lee came along and he wanted to learn from competitors. He wasn't afraid or ashamed to lose in a fight. If he lost, he would learn how to improve for next time and incorporate
That
that
is
into his
so,
own style.
yes, yes. That mindset is so important. When I talk to my painters, for example, and they built something which did not work and it broke, and they're devastated and say, "Oh my God, we put so much time and energy into it and it did not work." So be happy because you know that the next time you don't do that way. And this is your gift now. You are a step ahead of others because you know that you don't do it that way. Now let's try it another way. Maybe that one works.
Yeah.
And that's a mindset people should have more often, that
Yeah.
failure is is a gift because you
It
learn
takes
from it.
Yeah, it takes
Yeah.
humility and patience.
Yeah.
Because you
And
want to do it well the first time, and if it fails, like, oh no, it feels like it's a
yeah,
waste of time. But no, that's something that will make it better next time.
yeah. And this is what I always ask if people did our geocaches to be honest, to tell us what's good and what's not, because I can't learn from 1,000 people who say, "Wow, that's amazing." I learned from that one person who said, "Oh my God, this one was not correct. I did not understand that." Uh, and that's the point where you learn,
Yep.
not from 1,000, yeah, hoorays, because that's just for your ego, and it helps you nothing.
Which
Uh,
is another good reason to emphasize the point that if you're a geocacher, then post good logs. Don't just put
and
TFTC. Explain your
post good
experience and what was
logs,
good and bad and stuff.
yeah, post good logs, but on the other hand, expose bad geocaches
Yeah, and
right
this
in the
this might
log.
be a cultural difference, but expose it in a respectable way.
What?
it can it can cause
Rubbish
a
is
whole lot
rubbish.
of drum. Yeah, okay, we're getting to Gordon Ramsay. I love Gordon Ramsay. Yeah,
I mean, if I shit on your pavement, it's shit on your pavement. And you can't just say, "Oh my God, I'm sorry, but this is just some brownish kind of thing. It doesn't look very nice. Can you put it away?" No, put your fucking shit away. You know, clean your shit. You know, I mean, shit is shit. You can't discuss that. It's.
Yeah. Well, I do kind of also want to touch in a little bit on the puzzle design because I think that is that would be very interesting and informative to people who are interested in creating caches and maybe getting ideas for how to solve puzzles they've had difficulties. But you like your production value for escape rooms are huge, obviously,
Mhm.
and you bring in puzzles into those experiences. Do you design them to be to have a flow with the storyline, or do you just put puzzles in for the sake of puzzles? What kind of how do you construct your puzzles?
It changed during the years, obviously, and of course, because in 2013, escape rooms were at a stage, as you mentioned, it was a room, maybe stacked with IKEA furniture, and there were just puzzles thrown in just for the sake of puzzles. What we already did is to build a set, but the puzzles were still there, just puzzles. Basically, geocaching puzzles we really liked. We put them in our first escape rooms. But it changed drastically already the next year after we opened because we want to become more immersive. So puzzles had to make sense in the way of storytelling. And nowadays we are even that far that our latest experience, Brandon Darkmoor, doesn't even have a proper puzzle in there. There's just task or chores or how you want to call it. For example, if your light goes off in your living room, where do you go? You go to your fuse box, you check your fuses. If a fuse is broken, you go to that place where you store your fuses, maybe in a storage room or in your kitchen in a drawer. And you don't have four different fuses locked in four different boxes with four different number locks. That will be stupid because, yeah, you need to change the fuse quickly. Um, and yeah, what do I want to say? Um, and yeah, so these days we are building more or designing more tasks than actual puzzles.
Yeah, there's
Um,
kind of a
uh,
fine line between like a puzzle, like a self-contained
mhm,
puzzle, versus say furthering the story, furthering the narrative, accomplishing a task in order to do that. And last
yeah,
month we kind of touched a little bit about that on in alternate reality games, where it's all about progressing the narrative and how do you
yeah,
build something that's believable while having
yeah,
puzzles and stuff to work through.
yeah. And and a puzzle flow has to be like a good story. It should start quite easy and then it could be a bit more difficult. Then should go back to a bit more easy, then a bit more difficult to maybe um, to have a good flow. Not just constantly raising the difficulty level because then at some point you get bored if you can't solve something, you get frustrated, and uh, then you get then you are getting into a bad mood. So you need something in between to lighten it up, to just rest a bit and say, okay, that was it, easy now, let's move on.
Sort of like
The video,
breadcrumbs, just something to let you know
yeah,
that you're moving in the right direction, or if you get stuck, then something can nudge you in the right way.
yeah.
You could
For
have a
example,
whole big discussion about good puzzle design.
yeah. For example, the thing you are showing right now is something we built a Geiger counter, and that isn't a puzzle as well. You just have to switch on the Geiger counter, and in the game you had to check which container has radiation. So there's a sound module inside, and it reacts on magnets. So there's a magnet attached, and as soon as you reach the magnet, it says north and a zero dot dot and then E for East.
Yeah, see this, I have not
And
seen that done before. and that's just like, to me, that's amazing. That's a great implementation of something that people know, but using it in a way that's safe and yet
Yeah,
providing a puzzle solution.
yeah.
Like, is you're
But
not actually looking for radiation. The trick is it's just magnetism, but
yeah,
you can incorporate that into a storyline and make somebody
yeah,
think, oh, I am actually looking for radiation, even though they're not.
exactly. And this is not a puzzle. It's just a task you
Mm.
have to do. Use this device to check which barrel is has radiation in it.
Yeah, it's the
And this
aha
is how you,
moment of
exactly.
discovering where the answer is.
Yeah, and we built many of those things. For example, in that typical cache, you had to have three different tasks because you're following three terrorists. One is famous for uh, smuggling radioactive material. The second one built bombs, and the third one I don't remember. So you had a gun in one of the trees, and you had to check the fingerprints, whose fingerprints are on that gun. The second one was to check the radiation, and the third one, I know, smuggling drugs was one thing. You had a suitcase, and inside that suitcase you had packages which looked like drugs, and you had a suitcase yourself with some devices. There was this Geiger counter inside. There was a UV light. Then you had some stuff, a little, what's called a tube and a strip, and you had to take a bit of this drug stuff out, put it into a bit of water, and put this strip in and check the color of it, which kind of drug it is, and it turns to be cocaine, and you need that information for something else, and you did that all outside, like a real CSI person.
Hmm.
And yeah, so
Yeah, Mrs. Weaver said that they used a thermal camera, a heat sensing camera, to find a code, and that was good. I guess that was in a escape room.
yeah,
We had one.
yeah, it's yeah,
We had one kind
escape
of like that. It
thing.
was a night cache where we were using infrared to see through. I think it was a film layer to see what was underneath. So you couldn't see it
Yeah.
just with your eyes. You had to use infrared to see
Hmm.
what was underneath.
Yeah, those are interesting things.
Yeah. She also said we did one that was so hard because nothing clued you into it and it didn't fit with the theme. That is a
Bad
killer for
design.
me. Yeah. So a couple other quick run throughs, a couple other topics. Is there an escape room movie that you have seen or that you think is good or bad? Because these are kind of popping up all over the place now. It's like these real life races that are suddenly death races. Now, escape rooms being so popular, people have thought, what if people are trapped in an escape room and it's a matter of life and death? So now these things are popping up. Is there any that you've
I've
seen?
seen only one. I've seen
Hmm.
only one. I think it is called Escape Room. Uh, and I don't even remember what it was. It was the first thing was they were trapped in a room and it started to heat up, and they had to escape that room. Then there was a room which was, I think, upside down and stuff like that. It was
Hmm.
okay, but I don't watch escape room movies because I think, yeah, I think it was that one. There's the second one out there, right?
Yeah, there was escape. She's
Ready.
coming back. I think was there a second one? I think it's coming out soon. I think I saw news about it.
The second one, right?
Yeah.
Well, but we saw recently, my wife and me, she's here already. What did we see? This TV show. What was that? It was the Japanese people. It's called Alice in Borderland, and
Oh
it
yes.
is it isn't an escape room kind of, but it's kind of, and that
Hmm.
was interesting, and that is something I would recommend. I can't wait until season two is out. Um, Alice in Borderland is something I could recommend if you are into this kind of
Yeah,
films.
I
Yeah,
started watching that as well. It's one of those, like I said, it's one of those movies that gets people into the environment and then it's like a matter of life and death. There is
yeah,
an underlying mystery about
yeah,
what's going on and why, but like the content of every episode is basically a life or death escape room.
Yeah,
But on the scale of a city, which
yeah.
is also insane. I remember when escape rooms just started getting popular. One idea that was being worked on was to make I think it was an escape room style, like a jail, but
Hmm.
you're on the property. It's a few blocks, and there's a number of teams, and you're all trying to basically escape that area. But
Yeah, those things exist. For example, in Holland, there is an old prison, and you play with, I think, 150 players and 50 actors or something like this, and it's an actual prison, and you get your dress, and you are put into a prison, and you have to break out there. It's a 3 hour experience. I haven't done it because I don't think it's something for me as it's too many people there. But it's interesting for people who like that kind of games.
yeah, and Osfox says the first Saw
Yeah,
movie was the original escape room. The another
I
one that
think it
comes
was.
to mind is the Cube series. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've
Oh,
seen
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
one.
You're right.
Yeah,
There are even some escape rooms out there which use the theme of Cube and are designed somehow like that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Cube, like the whole idea with Cube is that these people are trapped in a mysterious square a cubic room, and
I think
nobody
that was the
knows.
first one. Yeah.
This was 97, so I think it is before Saw, I think. And yeah, there it's each room was kind of a one puzzle escape. It's another kind of a horror movie, but there is now Cube, Cube 2, and Cube 3, and Cube 0. And I loved it because the concept kept getting higher and higher dimension. Like the Cube 3, I think was uh, what is it? A hypercube. Is it Cube 3
Hmm.
hypercube? Yeah, tetra, whatever you call it, like dimensions and stuff. It's just fascinating the concepts behind them. But again, this plays on the whole idea of you've got to get out in a certain amount of time. In
Yeah.
reality, we have an hour or you lose, but in these movies, you can take it to that fictional level of you lose, you die.
Yep.
Okay, so another one was puzzle boxes. What are your thoughts on puzzle boxes? Because we've got one as a giveaway, following that little ticker in the bottom there, putting hashtag times up. And so, yeah, what are your thoughts on this new trend of puzzle boxes or escape rooms in a box?
But you mean these games like Exit?
Exit, yep.
Yeah.
There's a couple of
Um,
other series. Yeah.
some are good, some are not.
Mm-hmm.
We prefer to play the games from Unlock. Those are the ones we prefer. But if it comes to those kind of games, we actually prefer deduction games. So more detective style games where you have
Mm-hmm.
all the material and you have to find out who the murderer is. A typical murder mystery thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there are the ones from ID Venture called Detective Stories. They are very, very good. Um, and some German ones, I don't know if they are available in English, called Hidden. Um, they are very good as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the escape room in a box
Um, I,
series.
we didn't like the werewolf experiment. I know people are raving about it, but we just went through it within 30 minutes, and it was kind of boring. The story sucked, and we didn't like it.
Yeah. Have you heard
Yeah.
of Box One?
Yes, actually, I bought it as a gift for my wife.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Valentine's Day. I don't remember. It wasn't available in Germany at all, so I asked friends in the United States to buy one and send it to me. And she has played it and she loved it, but I haven't, so I still have to do it. Actually, Neil Patrick Harris visited us in Berlin, and
Ooh.
we had a 2 hour chat after he played two of our escape rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't want any spoilers, then don't watch the TGIF from 2 months ago where we went through
No,
Box One live
no,
for our
no. One
event.
day I would like to play it. I would
Yeah,
like to play it.
it's fun. It's worthwhile. It's really well done. It is a narrative in a box, and
Yeah.
the puzzles. There's a reason. See, this is a good example of the puzzles are there for puzzles, but there's an underlying story, so it still makes sense, which was
Hmm.
great. I
Yeah.
love that.
Have you
Okay, so
have you listened to the podcast episode of David and PG, the latest one? It's with Neil Patrick Harris. You should listen to it.
what was the podcast again?
Escape
Oh, escape artist. I
Escape
think it is.
Reality. I think it's called Escape Reality Pod.
Let's see. Escape to Reality, a reality TV. No, that's a reality TV podcast.
Which
Escape to
one?
Reality podcast? Escaping Reality podcast.
Escape Reality Pod.
Reality Escape Pod. Room Escape
Reality
Artist.
Escape Pod. Yeah.
Yeah, just got it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Room
And the
Escape
latest
Artist, yeah.
Yes, and the latest episode is really good.
Mm.
It's
That
about box one.
is, yeah, the curious episode 1 of season 2, The Curious Mind of Neil Patrick Harris, creator of Box 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be a good one to check out. We'll add that
And
into
if you
the
want
show
to,
notes.
if you want to learn about puzzle design, check the second episode. It's Nick Moran. It's a very good friend of mine, and he's an amazing guy in structure. He's totally about structure in games and puzzles and stuff like that. So
Yes, good. And you were
recommend.
also a guest on Room Escape Artist in
Yeah,
episode 7.
the Gordon Ramsay of escape rooms. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
So, is there anything else that you want to highlight? Any specific escape rooms or anything maybe coming up? Anything like that?
Actually, no, because everything is now in a kind of status where people don't know what's going on in near future. So there isn't anything huge planned. We have some ideas, others have some ideas. Oh, let's go west. It's our 80s game. Yeah.
80s, that makes sense. Oh yeah, you've even got the little bike there.
Yes, yes, of course. BMX bike, of course.
Chewy.
And the dog name is Chewy. Yeah. It's
There's a
in
Star Wars theme there because you've got the stormtrooper and a Chewie.
it the end of the game is an 80s comic book nerd store where you can buy all this stuff like records and toys and all that all the stuff you would have loved as a kid in the 80s. There's a hoverboard on a that's a game we built in Sweden in a World Heritage site. It's an old
Right.
bunker, and we
Oh.
build a game in there in which you learn how to work as a radio guy soldier in the Second World War, and the people operating this site are very old, and they were working there as soldiers. And when they played the game the first time, they cried because they said it looks and feels and smells exactly like it was in the Second World War. So
Wow.
we seem to do a good job in there
And
to.
you know what just came to mind? Populating a room like this doesn't
Hmm.
necessarily have to cost an arm and a leg, because a lot of these items you could find at in refuse or cheap locations. Like even like some of these old weathered lockers and stuff you might be able to find on the side of a road. Like you can still be creative without spending $1 million.
Yeah, true. But to build a game like this, you need at least 70 to 80K
Yeah.
to build a good escape room.
Yeah,
That
escape rooms, especially if there's technology and interaction, programming,
yes.
all of that, electronics and everything, then that's going to take time
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah,
But
and
for
even
that,
building, yeah, and even building or working on props. For example, on this picture, you see those old radio receivers. Um, they are the actual thing, but we had to hack them that they do what we want, and
Mm-hmm.
that takes time, and time
Yeah.
is money, and if you work 10 days with a team of two on one of those items, it's 10K.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. It's
Mm-hmm.
just math. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, that has been a really interesting and fantastic deep dive into the high tech world of escape rooms, and especially just the parallel how the content of escape rooms is similar to very creative geocaches,
It
and
is.
I know you haven't done geocaching very much recently, but
Yeah.
hopefully. Again, like you said, we learn from each other, and maybe there's some stuff in here that might inspire somebody's creativity for whether it's just like a geocache like final container, or to
Yeah.
create a whole experience like a multi or a mystery or a series of caches.
Finding the container should be an experience or an event.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what the container is, where it is, it should be the event. And
Yeah.
if it just looks like that it's just thrown into a bush, that's not an event. That's yeah,
Yeah.
bad.
So let's get to the giveaways because first of all, we've got this is TGIF week, which means on the Excellent Geocaching Adventures Facebook group, there was a post to share your favorite adventures from this past month. And a number of people have shared, and whoever has the most votes, whoever has the most likes, is the winner. And as we speak, the person who has won an EGA, an Excellent Geocaching Adventures path tag, which I should have had one on hand right now, is Marcia Hamstra. She's picked up a whole bunch of likes on her post, which, now that I think about it, I should pull it up to some degree. Well, I'll link it in there in the I'll link the post in the description. You can check it out. And so congrats to Marcia. I'll be in touch so you can get you that EGA path tag. Same thing every month. So if you're not part of it, then make sure you join facebook.com slash actually no, it'll be easier as cashtheline.net/EGA. That will take you right there to that Facebook group where we can just share your geocaching adventures, excellent adventures, kind of like this, not necessarily just general geocaches, but adventures, journeys, things that have given you great memories and experiences. So check that out, and next month we'll do another draw. And moving on to tonight's giveaway, we shall pull it up for everybody who has entered the Time's Up hashtag. We have a number of people, and who is going to win the t-shirt and the Exit Dead Man on the Orient Express escape room in a box. We have tiki 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 tiki. They need sound effects on this. The winner is Holly, Heart Valley Girl. She is a patron of Cash the Line as well. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
We have your address, so we'll make sure that you'll get those prizes as soon as possible. That's awesome. Okay.
It might
Well,
take a while to ship the stuff over from Germany.
yeah. Yeah. So if you are not watching this live, then make sure that you tune in next month because this is a monthly thing. The last Friday of every month, we just hang out to chat and enjoy whatever topic. And next month, following along the escape room, I've got some plans. So pay attention for the news. If you haven't yet, also sign up for the mailing list that I have set up to make sure that you get all of the news, which you can get to at cashtheline.net/sign up. That will take you to the mailing list. And yeah, I think that was about it. So, any closing thoughts? Any farewells? Any inspiration?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for asking me for this interview. It was much fun, and go out and put some nice geocaches outside, not just Tupperware boxes.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you, Chris, for joining me tonight. It was a pleasure and a privilege to have you on. And I know you're going to be around. If you're on another podcast, then ping me and we'll spread it out. And yeah, so thank you everybody who has watched. And as always, we'll see you in the next video. Happy caching and excellent adventuring.